Randomly restarting. So I gotta fix all my windows. I think that's all the windows. Let's see if anything has happened in election season in the United States, wildfire season in parts of the United States. Yeah. See, this rhetoric, I don't think that works. do things. Yeah, I don't think this NATO is party to the war if weapons that the Ukraine acquired from a NATO country are used against Russia. Because if you're going to say that, then Iran and North Korea and maybe China are quote unquote in the war because they provide weapons to Russia to use against Ukraine. Logically, I don't think that argument holds. Whether or not the Russian government believes it, pretends to believe it, or will act as if they are pretending to believe it, it's a different thing. Drink and drive, folks. Don't road rage either. That's some pretty unusual research. Apparently, trout move the way they do because that's how their musculature is built. So they kind of move the same way even after they're dead if you tow them along behind a boat. Don't think no taxes on overtime works. Then what if the company says, okay, we're going to pay you zero for your regular time, and we're going to pay you your whole paycheck if you do 1 hour of overtime per year? Keeping in mind that NBC is often quite critical of Republican politicians. It's kind of funny to hear the financial community chair making fun of Trump's stand. The NBC, you appear to have a malicious ad. I'm actually not sure how the ads are even triggering that redirect. I don't think I have any settings on that should even allow that. Fracking is kind of a mixed bag of a technology. So it can certainly free up a supply of relatively cheap natural gas, which is kind of good and bad, in the sense that natural gas is a relatively easy, relatively clean replacement for coal and oil in a lot of industries, and also in the energy sector. Right, that's good. We kind of want to get off of natural gas eventually too for most things, particularly for energy. It is eventually replaceable. It's a finite resource. And also it's a climate issue because the natural gas itself tends to leak all over the place. Right? So it's not great when you burn it because it releases carbon dioxide, but it's even worse when it leaks. Because atmospheric methane is worse for the climate than carbon dioxide is. Also, it raises an area's earthquake risk, which you might not expect. Usually it's not big earthquakes, it's lots of small earthquakes. I don't think everybody accounts for that. Yeah, the other problem, other than leaking from like the piping, is that sometimes fracking frees natural gas deposits into places other than the natural gas well. There have been instances of it dissolving into local groundwater. People who could, seal up a bottle of water from their well, from the drinking water source, let the natural gas settle out, and then open it up and light it on fire. It's not ideal. So it's like a lot of other things. It's got pluses and it's got minuses. Consider the whole picture. This is probably kind of true. Because there's just a lot of trolls out there where if you present them with any petition on any topic, will put in fake name like Santa Claus. I don't know why. Presumably because trolls can be trolled. So there are more fake signatures on ballot petitions. The catch is that there's an entire process before a petition gets approved to eliminate those because that's normal and expected. So what they do is they look at all of the signatures on the petition, and in most states they match them against the voting records to find all the ones that have a name of an actual registered voter. Because usually when you do a petition like that, you get a signature, a name, and like an address, maybe a phone number. Right. And then you check the address and the phone number against the voting records to pull up all the ones that are probably real, and then you check the signatures to make sure they match. So before it gets to the certification stage, all of the fake signatures have like the troll signatures have already been weeded out. So rarely do you get somebody who like forges a signature. Here there's so far a total of one person who like seems to have actual intent to cause problems. So if you sign Santa Claus, probably nothing is going to happen to you other than people are going to think you're a jerk. If you try to sign as an actual person, it's not you. Hey, that's illegal. Okay, so this was somebody who was supposed to be probably going door to door to collect signatures and decided it would be easier to use other people's names. Just copying names from the telephone book. That's, depending on where you live, that's going to be some sort of forgery or identity theft or impersonation. It's probably perjury because this is an official legal document. Right? This goes beyond simple trolling. Yep. So raised questions about many other signatures. I mean, yeah, but you just grab all the pages that this particular guy submitted and you review them carefully to check that. Yeah, I mean, he's guessing the birthdays. The odds that he got them right is 1 in 365, give or take. Even accounting for leap years. Or also not accounting for the fact that birthdays are not perfectly evenly distributed over the year. So it said he submitted 100 pages, and probably there's 20 or 30 lines per page. So, up to 1,000 signatures. And usually when someone's running a petition campaign like that, they make sure to overshoot their signature count by more than a couple of thousand, just in case stuff like this happens. They want to make sure that they have way more than enough signatures. Right? And the thing about petitions is that it doesn't, right? It doesn't really matter, because what really matters is what people vote for. Petition campaigns are usually to add motions directly to the ballot. So the petitions are just to make sure that there's enough public interest for ballot issues to be worth people's time reading. It just keeps stupid stuff off the ballot. The number of signatures doesn't really matter that much, as long as you have enough to show that there's public interest in the issue. If people don't like the actual ballot measure, then they can just vote against it. So this paragraph, the integrity of our elections is of critical importance. It's not relevant to this topic. Petition signatures has basically no bearing on election integrity. Right? The people who actually go to vote generally have their IDs checked. And at least at my voting station, they check. Right, they check that the signatures match. They have me sign a thing. They have a book that you sign into whenever you go to vote. It has the signature that I signed when I registered to vote printed right next to my name. And then you sign your new signature right next to that so that the election workers can check. Yeah, in this case, the issue was not with the people signing the petition, it was with the person who was collecting the signatures. So he's probably in quite a bit of trouble. Like I said, that's probably some version of perjury. Perjury, forgery. I wouldn't be surprised if they levied identity theft charges against him. Yeah, see, they needed 86,000 and they collected 114,000. Just, just in case. That's totally. They just, if you're circulating a petition, unless it's complete nonsense, it's generally straightforward to collect signatures. Usually the signature requirements are not that difficult to pass. Having phone calls with foreign leaders. It's legal for him to have phone calls, not legal for him to have conversations about United States foreign policy. It's not allowed to like make presidents say, if I get reelected president, then I'll do this and that foreign policy. So the way that he sometimes still acts as if he's currently president, but he's not, kind of puts him borderline in legal trouble. It's done so several times. Yeah. Side note, if you're going to work as a foreign agent, you need to register as a foreign agent. Particularly if you're interacting with government functions like elections. I mean, also economic activities, so a lot of business activities require foreign agents to register. You should also get a lawyer who can tell you what's legal and what's not. Yeah, and that's not just it's not just foreign governments that are in adversarial positions. That's all foreign governments. So if you regularly collaborate with the French government, for instance, you still need to register as a foreign agent. Okay, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure this is a valid argument because there are already people trying to manipulate elections for all sorts of reasons, including financial purposes. Right? Any and every large corporation, has an interest in the results of an election. It's depending on what you do, different political operatives are going to be more favorable to your corporation. That's serious money, right? Individual people making bets on the election, probably not a significant contribution when compared to that. I do think the Biden wearing a Trump hat article was pretty hilarious. That was a nice bit of trolling. Yeah, I'm not surprised that people are asking Trump to pay up front because he has a history of not paying workers, contractors, and I wouldn't be surprised if we skipped on event-based payments too. He'll agree to anything up front and then stiff you on the payment once he doesn't need you. See, it's done that multiple times. Allegedly. I don't personally have any evidence of any of that. I would make that clear. There have definitely been past allegations of that. So, if whoever owns the event space has heard the same allegations that I have, it's honest. My question is why it's the otter came right up on the dock. That's unusual. Yeah, otters are pretty dangerous, especially in groups. I wonder why this one was attacking people. It's unusual for them to go after humans. The answer is they don't know why. They're gonna capture them, euthanize them, and test them for rabies. Because I don't think this is the season for defensive mothers. So, I mean, like many wild animals, otter mothers will get quite aggressive when they have babies nearby. I think this is the wrong season for that. Well, hopefully it's not rabies, because that'd be quite an additional ordeal for the mother and child that got bitten. Yeah. Getting a rabies vaccine ahead of time, it's just a regular vaccine. Getting it after you've been bitten is like 4 or 5 shots, maybe 8. It's quite a procedure, very unpleasant. Yeah, rabies is one of the few viruses that's slow enough that you can still get vaccinated after you've been exposed. But you have to get multiple shots. Because the goal there is to spin up an immune response strong enough and fast enough to take out the actual virus. But if you wait until you have symptoms, then it's too late. Rabies kind of has a slow buildup, which is why you can still get vaccinated after exposure. But yeah, by the time you're showing symptoms, it's too late. It's almost always fatal at that point. And here's another take that doesn't fly. Right-wing influencers say they were dupes in an alleged Russian scheme to mostly it was to get people on TikTok or wherever saying that we should just let Russia take over the Ukraine. And this doesn't fly because it doesn't matter where the money's coming from. If you're going to say some of these people said some really horrible things, it's really not true things. It doesn't matter who's paying you to say it. Right? It still said these things that were really questionable. I don't know. Maybe if you offered me enough money, I would say something terrible. Does that get you off the hook for responsibility for saying something? $1 million and I'll tell you the sky is green. Side note, the sky is green. And also purple. And basically every other color. It's just more blue than it is some other colors. billion. Similarly, they were trying to say $1.6 billion bill or funding plan. Something like there needs to be a word here. You don't pass $1.6 billion. Dollars there. Let's pass that bill, or maybe a resolution to deliver anti-China propaganda overseas. Yeah, I wonder if it's focused on China's recent attempts to gain influence in Africa. I don't think waste of money and manpower is a good argument for reducing polling locations. I'm also not super sure that concerns that locations favor one party meaningful either. Because practically every location has it's one party that it favors. That's kind of how polling works. It's if every location had exactly 50-50 split, then we wouldn't bother with polling locations. So the goal is that everywhere that people want to vote should have reasonably lengthened, that should have lines of reasonable length. That's the goal you should shoot for. And if you need more polling locations to make the lines short, then you should have more polling locations. This is the thing. The snow machines have water hooked up to them. So ski resorts can use them to reduce the risk of fire damage. Spray the slopes with water, basically. Yeah, that's how snowmakers work. They're basically just water plus usually high pressure air turns the water into a mist, and if you're somewhere where it's cold, mist will turn into snow. And if it's not cold, it'll stay water. It'll just be a spray of high pressure misted water. It's probably fairly effective at dampening the ski slopes. During a fire, probably don't want to throw the baby out the window unless there's a safety net there to catch the baby. I don't know. I wonder what the best chances for survival would be. Probably if you're gonna jump while holding the baby, so that your body hits the ground and acts as a cushion. If you're gonna jump out the window, then you try and land flat. The more surface area the more surface area you have where you hit the ground, the less force there is on any individual part of your body. probably on your back because your brain is more resilient to being accelerated towards the back of your skull than it is towards the front or the top or the bottom for that matter. Not a lot more so. I guess I was pretty sure. I mean, if you're gonna concuss your brain, let's see what's in the back. It's a motor control piece that processes the information from your eyes is in the back. As opposed to in the front, it's the very front is basically all the pieces you consider your personality. Yeah, probably the best chance is for you to flop out the window and onto your back with the baby held over your chest. So the baby can basically use your lungs as an air pack. That's kind of a heck of a choice to have to make, though. But the UN Security Council be reformed. Absolutely. The current structure is it's a mess. it doesn't work. Well, if the goal is to make sure nothing gets done, then it works fine. But I don't think that's the goal. I'm a little unclear what the charges were in the first place. Depending on country. Yeah, see, this is something that all politicians say when they're charged with a crime. They all say, these allegations are politically motivated. And in some sense, all allegations are politically motivated. Maybe the more important question is are they true or true-ish? So here the charges are corruption case, connection with a alcohol sales policy. So created a policy that did something, something, something. Policy was apparently to do with the distribution of licenses. And the lieutenant governor says policy exploited the rules to benefit private liquor barons, which sounds like it may or may not be illegal, right? Exploiting the rules suggests that you're still staying within the rules. Which means that the real question is was the minister receiving some sort of remuneration from a private party? That would probably certainly be illegal. Depends on where you live, how illegal that is, but it's illegal just about everywhere. This is suspicious, but not conclusive. Right, the timing looks bad for the government to toss a bunch of candidates in jail right before an election and forbid them from performing their official duties right before an election. That doesn't look good. They haven't, right, they don't actually like list any evidence or anything here, so it's hard to can't really make any judgments, especially since I'm on the other side of the world. Yeah, India's government recently has been giving themselves a negative reputation for bad behavior. If I was them, right, I would have waited until after the election. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have thrown them in jail in the first place because there's no point in holding a prominent politician in jail for a nonviolent crime. Right? It's not like what are they going to do? Like, if they're not a flight risk, they're not going to leave the country. I mean, if they do, that's the end of their political career, for sure. Right? Then, if they have an order from the court saying to suspend their official duties and not create new policies or anything, right, then there's no risk of new crime. Right? If you're alleging that they misused their authority, if you have a court order for them to not use their authority, then they're not going to misuse their authority. So, I think jail was kind of pointless in the first place. Right. And that makes the decision to put candidates in jail during elections. It makes it look really bad. Storms in Europe. Italy, Czechia, Hungary, Poland. Looks like we're gonna get a lot of rain. In Denmark, a man is suspected of 86 counts of reckless driving. Filmed it himself. Is this the YouTube and TikTok effect? Right, people doing stupid crap and filming it and then putting it on the internet and then getting arrested. What is it that the internet attorneys always say? Don't do illegal things. And if you're gonna do illegal things, don't film yourself doing illegal things. And if you're gonna film yourself doing illegal things, don't post it on the internet. Yeah, this is always tricky. It's like, where is the line between letting people say whatever they want and letting people lie? Elon Musk's opinion no longer carries weight in basically any topic. He's said so many crazy pants things over the past 3 to 5 years that his opinion is basically irrelevant at this point. Yep, I said it. And Twitter, or X as only Elon calls it, everybody else still calls it Twitter. Yeah, Twitter is becoming less and less relevant because I mean, mostly because of Musk's policies. Yeah, I mean, he can be against misinformation laws, but the way that he's filled the platform with nonsense and vitriol, right, is going to destroy the platform on its own. It's going to be messy, but it's going to implode. I must admit, I don't know that much about Senegal's governmental structure. From these headlines, I would assume that it's similar to the United Kingdom's. Sounds like they had a presidential election. And the president promptly said, okay, time to close down Parliament for the season and do parliamentary elections. The opposition platform said, convened a legislative session under false pretenses in order to announce the dissolution. But is that true? I don't know. They don't say here what the given reason for convening the legislative session was, and I don't know whether or not it would be legal either way. Because I don't know what the law in Senegal is about convening. So I guess we'll just have to see how things go from here. Now, if he's smart, right? If the new elections are in November and they only have until December to finalize the budget, if he's smart, they write the budget up ahead of time and they have a good draft. Right, so that if his party does gain a majority in the parliament, they have something to start from. put the article over here. There's no setting, but shows both the article clearly and the image clearly. I'm gonna go grab some olives. Yeah, I can buy that. Right. On the one hand, living on the space station is a rare opportunity. Sounds really cool. On the other hand, being cooped up on the space station for 6 more months than you were expecting. I can see how that would be frustrating and confining. This is 8 months, not 6 months. Stripey Day. He's pretty fluffy, Stripey. Oops. It's actually a time series, like it's like a time lapse, but all of the frames have been stacked into one image. And these dark parts are from the unevenness of the moon's surface. This one here is a galaxy. Centaurus A galaxy. How'd they take this picture? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it's not time for your snack yet. That's what he wants. He wants a snack. But it's not time for a snack. I wonder how they get these galaxy pictures. I think you would need a fairly large telescope for this. Well, this one's a nebula, not a galaxy. This one's a galaxy. These big old gas jets, I would assume that it's a galaxy with a black hole at its center that's currently eating a star. Or at least it was eating a star when this light left the galaxy. You always got to remember that. The things you see are seeing an image of what it looked like when that light left. These galaxies are really far away, so that light left quite a while ago. That's true even up close. Light from your computer screen is a teeny tiny fraction of a second old by the time it gets to your eyes and gets processed by your brain. Right? So even things that are close by are out of date by the time you process the information. Some people find that very upsetting, though. The Dolphin Head Nebula, I guess this is supposed to be the dolphin's mouth. That's why they call it the Dolphin Head. Personally, I think it kind of looks like a Hammer Brothers, right? Like if this is the helmet. It's their case. It's a smug Hammer Brothers for Mario. Scientists looking in the wrong direction. Sometimes scientists look in the wrong direction on purpose. The goal being to exclude as many things as possible. You have something where you don't know the answer. When you have a strong theory, a strong set of equations or ideas where the math works out, and you know where you're looking, then you can do experiments to test your theory directly. When you don't have that, and all you have is a bunch of different theories, sometimes you're just looking to exclude as many of them as possible. So in the case of a lot of the options for dark matter are things like there could be a lot more neutrinos than we think there are. Right? You need a detector that could theoretically detect neutrinos for that. And then you still never really get an answer. You get we have a detector that should have detected them and we didn't detect them. So they're probably not there. Sort of answer. Right, it lets you hone in on the most likely answers. It's probabilistic. They could be super dense cluster galaxies, or they could have black holes. My guess is probably both. Could be both. But the thing to remember is that first generation stars and galaxies are not like current generation stars and galaxies. Their formation mechanism is very different because there was a lot of free hydrogen just at the Big Bang that hadn't collapsed yet into stars or black holes or planets or whatever. These days, space is mostly empty space. Right at the beginning, it was not that empty. I wonder if this supermassive black hole collision is close enough to get measured by LIGO. Although I don't know if they're gonna collapse into each other soon enough to make a difference. That last olive in my snack tasted weird. This is the diffraction spike that we're talking about. These are not as close to collision as the headline might suggest. Then rediscovered in a small ocean tank. That was like 15 years ago. It no longer satisfies the new part of news. Florida has, over the past 10 years or so, definitely shown that its government is not basing its recommendations on really anything. Definitely not research. Don't feed the wildlife. But just in general, don't. In this case, it's because if sick animals share feeding stations with healthy animals, then it spreads the disease and the healthy animals get sick. Deer in general, you should not feed like at all, because they actually have a really complicated digestive system, and if you feed them, you could be harming them. So, they have a digestive system where, depending on the time of year, the food they should eat actually changes. So during the winter, their digestive system reconfigures to allow them to eat stuff like bark and maybe pine needles. Don't remember exactly. So if you're feeding corn during the winter, then it totally messes up their digestion. If you want to feed wild animals, feeding like songbirds, it's considered relatively harmless. You get their feeder. I recommend getting one that will not fit pigeons. If you live in an area that has pigeons, like doves, which are related to pigeons. Pigeons are a kind of dove. In case you're wondering. They're actually considered food if you live somewhere where they don't primarily eat garbage. Having trouble sleeping, talk to a doctor. Depending on your symptoms, they can probably help narrow down the actual cause with an actual treatment. I'm guessing this is not it. This seems like a TikTok solution, which, in case you're wondering, TikTok solutions are rarely actual solutions. I personally think that more people should get evaluated for sleep apnea, which is where you stop breathing during the night. Fixed by getting a machine that pressurizes the air that you're breathing. And pressurize the air, and it keeps your airways from collapsing. Yeah, everywhere this measles patient went, now everybody who's nearby needs to get evaluated for measles. Measles is super contagious, so get vaccinated because it's preventable. Come on. Whooping cough, preventable. Flu, preventable if we correctly predict the mutations for a given season. Still, get your flu shots. Because we often do correctly predict the season strains, and even if we get it wrong, getting protection from a similar strain gives you some protection. Better than nothing. It'll reduce the symptoms, if nothing else, make it less dangerous. Just like COVID, we do have researchers working on trying to target the proteins in the virus that do not mutate, right? Because if we can target those, then we can make broad spectrum vaccines that prevent many different kinds of flu and or coronavirus. So that'll be nice once we have all of those. Because then we can actually start working on completely getting rid of the flu. The 600% increase is meaningless when they don't tell you what it was before. If it was 1 before, then a 600% increase, depending on what they mean by 600% increase, is either 6 or 7. Generally, when I say something increases by 600%, plus 6 times, so I would mean from 1 to 7. But I don't know if that's what they mean here. It's very vague. Which is why I don't phrase gains like that. I always phrase relative change as multiplication. Never as addition, never as division. Doubly never as subtraction. Right? Whenever somebody says 600% less, I have no idea what they mean. So that's vague to the point of being nonsensical. Usually what they mean there is 1/6. Hmm. COVID is high everywhere, and we usually see a spike in the fall for respiratory diseases. So get your shots. Vitamin B12 is the secret to improving hair growth question. Which nutrient increases chances of living longer and healthier? Balanced diet composed mostly of plant-based foods. Minimally processed. Mix of fibrous vegetables, healthy fats and oils, including from fish. It's really all I wanted to know, peeps. Four subspecies. Interesting. This wrong filter. This is fairly well known. Sensory deprivation is bad for you. As you get older, make sure that you keep your eye exams and your hearing exams up to date. No, seriously, get your hearing exam done. Don't just don't just depend on your subjective experience. Actually go and get it tested, because hearing decays slowly. It kind of sneaks up on you. So you kind of readjust, thinking that hearing less and less well is normal. That's what he says. He says, he doesn't really say yeah. He says, whenever I see something like this, generational epigenetics, it always makes me question whether this is actually genetic or whether this is lifestyle choices that get passed down. Because unhealthy fathers have unhealthy diets, and their kids share those unhealthy diets. Right? It's the environmental factor rather than the genetic factor. And most of the studies that are usually quoted as evidence for this have confounding factors. Right? Usually they're restricted populations. Two different centigrades, 6, 7, the end there. I'm just solving the Latin square.